welcome back to the channel. So today, as you can see, we have a Tamiya Blackfoot here on the bench, but this isn't just any ordinary Tamiya Blackfoot. This is actually Jim Peacock's Tamiya Blackfoot, or better known to the RC community as Shodog. Jim was a very serious RC collector. He had quite the Tamiya collection, as well as an RC10 collection, and some other stuff, anything and everything in between. He was a big scale truck guy as well. Unfortunately, Jim passed away a year ago. He was killed in a motorcycle accident, so it's extremely unfortunate, and it left a hole in the community as far as, you know, the RC collectors and the guys who knew him and have been participating and sharing RC stuff with him over the years. So before I dive too much into the truck, I just want to give a little backstory on Jim and I's relationship that we've shared over the last 20 years. So in the very early 2000s, there was a forum called RCMT, which was the Radio Control Monster Truck Network. And I first joined that forum before I even had a Tamiya Bruiser, which at the time I wanted a Bruiser. So I actually joined the forum, and my username was I Want a Bruiser, because I was actively hunting for one. This was during a time period where they were discontinued, and I joined that forum. And as I start establishing myself on the forum, sharing some of the other RCs that I had, I stumbled across Jim and his collection of cars and trucks that he had, and he had some very nice Tamiya 3-speeds as well. He had a really gorgeous red Mountaineer and an original Hilux and some other stuff. So as time goes on, and RC and internet and stuff is becoming more and more popular, another thing had formed called Tamiya Club. And Tamiya Club was not only a forum, but also a showroom where you would join it, and it allows you to upload models based off of their actual model number, and you were able to then share each individual model within that collection, and it became kind of a database where you could search just Blackfoots or just Clodbusters and things like that. So I joined Tamiya Club in 2001. I think it might have actually even started in 2001 or 2000, but Jim was on there. A good majority of his collection was showcased on there, and you were able to really see all of his collection in its entirety because you were able to see his entire showroom. For me, the one thing that stuck out in his showroom above all else was this Blackfoot. So for me, because I started with a Blackfoot when my stepfather gifted me my first hobby grade RC at 9, this particular truck kind of held a special place for me. I've always admired the candy red paint that it had, its Tecnacraft wheels, and all the other goodies that make it as beautiful as it is. With that said, fast forward along the years, as again RC and internet and forums and things continue to grow, we also end up on other forums such as Scale 4x4 RC. And you have to remember, during this time period, Scale RC is up and coming. It's not what it is today. And this is during a time period where you have to make your own, parts and scale accessories and things of that nature. So one of the dealings I can remember having with Jim was when the Tamiya High Lift came out. He actually made these little Fox, like fake, shock reservoirs, which are really cool. It was super simple. It was just basically some aluminum rod that he, milled down, drilled a hole in it, and then he supplied you with a Fox decal, as well as like some chrome aluminum type tape to secure the reservoir to the high lift shock, as well as some, like Detail Masters braided steel line. So that was a cool little detail for when the high lift came out, and I remember purchasing several sets of those. I had them on my high lift and then on some other scale bruisers and crawlers and stuff that I was doing at the time. So Jim and I go way back, and I was saddened to hear about his passing when it happened. And it also made me think, well, what's going to happen to the collection? And you have to wonder, like, there's always that worst case scenario where I've heard horror stories where things just get thrown out, and you hope that that's not going to be the case. In Jim's case, fortunately, he has a son, and his son was into RC, so my thinking was, well, it's going to go to his son, that's good. So fast forward to now, I'm thinking about the the collection still. I haven't really seen too much from it, but his son did start an Instagram page and started sharing some stuff. And I reached out to him and said, hey, like, I'm really excited to see your dad's stuff again. I'm glad that you're sticking with it, and so on and so forth. Just a very small conversation, and that was kind of that. And then recently, I was watching Matt from Scale Builder Skills channel, and I saw that he had obtained a Blazing Blazer as well as some other vintage buggies from Jim's collection. So if there's one thing that this hobby has taught me, is that when there's a particular model that someone has built that you like, I've always liked to try to throw it out there like, hey, great job on that build, that thing's awesome. If you ever want to sell it, I would love to add it to my collection. And I do that because what I've learned is if you don't throw that out there, somebody else will. So again, this is a little bit of a different situation because I'm trying to tread lightly and I don't want to, offend his son or anything like that. I decided to send his son a message like, hey, saw Matt's video, just throwing it out there. But if you ever decide to part with your dad's Blackfoot, that's always been a fan favorite of mine, and I would love to add that to my collection. So his son guy's like, yeah, all right, like, sure, I'll let you know, blah, blah, blah. Simple talk, and that was that. So I left it alone. Fast forward another day or two from that, and AMPro, Alberto, posts his monster beetle that has aluminum wheels on it. He thought they were C's. They ended up being Tecnacrafts. So I comment on it like, no, dude, those are Tecnacrafts. Those aren't C's. And he replies back to that message with, send me a DM. So I'm like, okay. And I was thinking at the time that, maybe this monster beetle is something he's interested in parting with, and that's definitely something I would love to add to the collection. It's a box art monster beetle with Tecnacraft like 10-hole style wheels on it. Real nice truck. So I sent him a message, and he says, I have a Blackfoot for you. And I'm like, oh, all right. Like, you have my interest. I have a couple Blackfoots in the collection. I'm a Blackfoot fan. That's what I started with. And he goes, it's not just any Blackfoot. It's Shodog's Blackfoot. So now I'm like, well, that's kind of ironic because I actually had just reached out to his son and inquired on it. But again, didn't want to be too pushy or anything like that. So, I explained that to him. He goes, all right. He's like, I'll tell you what. I'll send him a text for you. And we'll go from there. He's like, I think if anyone should have this truck, it should be you. So I was like, okay, cool. Appreciate that. Good looking out. So he sends his son a text for me, and he tells me to shoot his son a message, and we were able to strike a deal for this gorgeous Blackfoot. So this is now what I would consider probably one of the nicest, Tamiya models that I have in the collection to date. I hold this in the same high regard as some of the other models that I've obtained from other people who have unfortunately passed away too soon, such as models from the King Cobra collection from Tim Miner, which would include the 57 Chevy, the Rat Rod pickup, and some of his other models and things like that he had done that I was able to obtain from his son. So this one is a now permanent resident of the Mike's RC World collection, and it will be proudly displayed in the showcase over here next to my Blackfoot, which is of a similar build, and I couldn't be happier to add this truck to the collection. So with that said, let me bring you up and close. I'll show you, try to show you just how beautiful the paint job is on this. I mean, it is like automotive grade quality paint work, and show you everything that makes this Blackfoot as special as it is. All right, let's get up close with it. All right, so as you can see, the paint on this thing is pretty much absolutely flawless. It's a candy red over a silver base, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is probably one of the nicest painted trucks in my collection that I have now. I mean, it's really truly gorgeous. And then obviously one of the other fantastic parts about it is that it has a full CCP chrome package done to it. So CCP, or better known as custom chrome parts, existed in the early 90s, and they basically took stock parts and would chrome plate them for you. So this has a full package. Every ounce of the factory plastic has been chromed, and it is incredibly gorgeous. And then when we talk about some of the other things that make this truck so special, The next thing would have to be the Tecnacraft wheels, which are absolutely gorgeous. There's absolutely no rash or anything in any of the wheels. The barrels are mint, the spokes are mint, and they're just perfect. Anyone that knows Tecnacraft wheels know exactly how special these wheels are and how well they are made. It also has some other aluminum goodies. Unfortunately, I don't recall who manufactured these, but as you can see, it has the aluminum front shock mount and aluminum battery door holders there, and obviously very highly polished and go along with the truck really nicely. We talk about the back of the truck here. It has a vintage sway bar kit in the anodized gold, which complements the Tecnacraft wheels nicely. It has a adjustable motor mount kit, and it also has, you can see, the Thorpe telescoping rear drive lines set up in it, which anyone that's owned a Blackfoot knows just how problematic those stock factory dog bones were. They would round out pretty quickly. So the Thorpe diff kit was actually pretty popular for these. Thorpe was one of the major manufacturers for upgrading that stuff. Trackmaster was another one, and this one's fortunate enough to have the Thorpe kit in it. It also has the upgraded Tamiya oil-filled shocks, which complement the truck well. And then one of the other real nice additions is the Sassy Chassis aluminum double roll bar, which is actually meant for a clodbuster, but as you can see fits the Blackfoot body quite nicely. And then it even has a clodbuster KC light bar to complement that as well. And the truck is just absolutely gorgeous. It is really probably one of the nicest Blackfoots in existence, and this was just such a truck that stood out to me in Jim's collection. This was a truck that, back in the day when you would Google Blackfoot before the 2016 re-release, this was a truck that would pop up in that search just because it was just so popular. It had such a following in the Tamiya Club days when that was really popular, and it's absolutely perfect. I couldn't be happier to have added this one to the collection. I'm going to pause here real quick. We'll pop the body off. I'll show you on the side as well. So now with the body off, you can see again just how great condition the chrome is on the CCP parts. Again, this is something you're talking about parts that are 30 years old. It also has the aftermarket upgrade for the body mount system, because anyone that's owned a Blackfoot knows that this shock tower was a weak point. So this kind of connects and ties everything all in. Again, because even the rear body mounts on the factory Blackfoot, they kind of stood up high. They have this factory brace here, but this was a common failure point. So this kind of ties everything in, the whole chassis, gives it some rigidity. This was a nice upgrade for the truck, for a time period correct upgrade. For the purpose of this truck, I have no intentions of ever running this truck. So yes, for my Shelf Queen haters, it is going to be a Shelf Queen. Sorry, not sorry. Something that is as pretty and well done as this with the vintage parts that are on it is just not something that I would feel comfortable running. So it is going to live out its life on the shelf, and it will do so next to my Blackfoot here, which is of a similar build. Glass is sliding on its own. Again, CCP, or well, in this case, to my chrome chassis, but it did have a CCP chassis, and I swapped it out because the chrome wasn't as good a shape. But aluminum APM Blackfoot roll bar, APM fire extinguisher, Tecnacraft wheels. Again, so two extremely high caliber, Blackfoot builds here. Well, that's Jim's truck. I'll leave off with this. There's going to be another 2 editions from Jim's collection showing up that I'm also proud to have been able to obtain, and we will go over those next. So stay tuned. Drop a comment below if you liked the truck, liked the video. Remember to subscribe, hit that bell if you want notifications, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.